I'm going to show you how to remove yourself from your med spa so that you can finally have a business that makes money for you. I'll do this by showing you the 4 pillars you need to know in order to have a clinic that runs itself. These are the same 4 pillars that I help implement in hundreds of med spas across North America inside of our MediLaunch program, where we help med spa owners all around North America scale to 100K per month, increase profits, and create a business that's actually an asset. And I want to do the same for you. How do I fully remove myself from this operation, right? So that I can still make money while I'm not here. She feels like she's stuck. And don't get me wrong, this is great revenue, highly profitable when you're doing that by yourself, but it's more of a high paying job rather than a business. We'll talk a little bit about the 4 pillars to getting out of that and how do I fully remove myself from this operation. If you are stuck in the business, it's probably because you're lacking one of these 4 things. Pillar number 1 is your ability to prospect. Prospect meaning, how do I find rock stars? This is something that most business owners usually skip over, right? They're worried about interviewing, they're worried about onboarding and training, but they forget that they don't actually have a reliable way to find rock stars. How do we prospect, right? And there's a video inside the mastermind breaking this down in more detail. So I'm going to give you guys more like high level overview. Facebook and IG ads, my favorite. This one costs money, obviously, right? But running Facebook and IG ads at about $50 a day for, I would probably say a good 2 weeks, maybe, will find you a lot of rock stars. And what I'm targeting the area that I'm looking to hire. So if I was looking to hire someone in New York, I wouldn't only target 5 miles around my clinic. I would probably target around the whole tri-state area, right? Because I'm probably more willing to hire someone in the Bronx, because if they're willing to show up to work every day 9 to 5 and take the train, then hey, so be it. So I'm going to extend my radius out there and prospect there. Target the area that you're looking to hire. And if obviously if it was a virtual person and you're like, hey, I'm looking for a virtual rep, Colombia, Philippines, South Africa, places are the best places to find rock stars that are more for the virtual positions. Now, the next one is going to be online hiring boards are really good. Referrals. A lot of people have referrals for the clients, but they don't have referrals for talent. And this is actually huge because it's like the best frame that I was taught, how much money is this employee potentially going to generate? And what he said is he's willing to pay a percentage of that as a referral, right? So as a closer or a sales rep, if you're bringing on like a consultation specialist who's going to close the consults, and that person over a year is going to generate about $500,000 for the business, maybe $250,000, you should be willing to pay $1,000 referral fee to acquire that rock star who's then going to pay to generate that much money for the business. It's just a higher level of thinking. But what happens is when you have a referral fee so big that people will prospect for you. Indeed, you have things like LinkedIn, right? And then obviously you have recruitment agencies. Recruitment agencies' job is to just do all of this for you. You're thinking, I don't want to do all of this. I don't want to post and filter and do all of that. That's the recruitment agency's job. And typically you might pay a recruitment agency $1,000 finder's fee plus some type of commission on their payroll. Obviously it's more costly. It takes, some people are willing to pay for speed of just getting it done, right? Like just do it for me. Pillar number 1 is, how do I find rock stars? Now, the reason that I listed all of this out is, one thing that people don't realize is you want to prospect on all channels, because what I really want is a good 100 applicants so that I can filter down the top 10 and I can send all of those top 10 through a round 2 interview, filtering out the best one. And now I know I have the right person, and it's not so much I got 10 applications and I just by default hired this girl, right? You never want to be in that position. So to not be in that position, you need to be prospecting on all channels. Obviously, if you're doing recruitment agency, that kind of serves the purpose of all channels. They'll do their job. But, that's pillar number 1 you have to answer. If you want to remove yourself, you must answer my prospect channels. How do I find people? Now, pillar number 2 is obviously going to be interview. There is an art to interviewing people. And essentially it's like, how do I filter out the bad people. Simply put, ask the right questions. And I know that sounds very basic advice, but like it's really good advice. Some people just ask random questions in an interview. They're not prepared, they don't have them logged, they don't know how to grade people on their answers. You want to ask the right questions. Actually, what I'll do for you guys is give you like a really good example of when I'm hiring sales reps. I'll show you my interviewing framework. It's not random when we go into these calls. It's scripted. It's almost like going into a sales call. Everything's scripted out, right? And they won't know it because the way that I go through the interview is so conversational that they think that it's just a conversation. Unless, you're having a bad day and you're like, let's just point, right? But your first thing I'm doing is why are you looking for a new role? I'm looking for red flags. What did they say about the last job? Experience, are they okay with the salary? Are they available? And then I'm literally going through everything. This is for a virtual sales rep. I'm going through, is your computer good? Is your internet good? Is there anything in life, right, that's going to cause you not to show up to training, right? I hate when people sign up for a job and then 2 weeks in, they're like, hey, like, I have a wedding. I can't come in this week. It's like, you should have told me that on the interview. All these things, right? All the way down to cultural fit. What would it take for you to stay in the company within the next 2 to 5 years? How are you at taking feedback? And then when I go to round two, it's more skill set questions, right? So if it's a consultation specialist, it's more like how proficient are you with using, Candela machines? If you have a Candela machine, how proficient are you with using Emo's platforms and operating a Morpheus 8? And then I set hard expectations. Everything's mapped out. And yeah, this is a lot of work, but unfortunately, these are the things that it takes to, run a 7-figure company. So that's what I want to consider. Is like, am I asking the right questions and am I, right, conducting the right scenarios? All right. Because sometimes you need to put them in certain scenarios to really see how they would act if it was the real thing. Like I said, there's a full video on the mastermind breaking down each pillar a little more into detail. I'm just kind of giving the high level overview. Pillar number 3, onboarding. Onboarding is essentially everything related to getting them live. From the moment that you hire them to the moment that they can do things without you. That's the key, without you. If they are still doing things with you within 2 months, that means your onboarding is way too long. Something's missing. Your onboarding is not good enough where someone is autonomous after 2 months. So here's one of my favorite frames to make this a super simple section. What would it take for this person to operate on their own and actually hit the desired KPIs, key performance indicators? That's the best onboarding frame, guys. Because if I hire a new nurse in one of the clinics and she comes on and she's supposed to be doing injections, one of my favorite frames is I hired her on Monday. What would it take for this nurse to know everything about the med spa, know everything about sales, and know everything enough for them to operate in the console and do it on their own without me in the next 3 weeks? Whatever it would take, that's what my onboarding process looks like. And then I just start thinking about the extreme. I think about the extreme. Maybe she needs 20 role play sessions. She needs to watch a video course on everything about our culture, our clinic, our area. She needs a knowledge check, right? She needs to be shadowing me on 10 consoles. I need to reverse shadow her on 10 consoles. All of that sounds like a lot. And usually med spas will draw it out over 3 to 4 months. And my frame is always, well, what would it take to do that in the next 2 weeks? Maybe I have to work 16-hour days, but after that, I'm 2 weeks and I'm free. And now the business is running without me. So what would it take? It's the best frame, right? And if you use what would it take, you'll outperform every business because everyone else is trying to do it. Oh, we're going to do 60 to 90 days of training, right? And in your business, you're thinking we're going to do 14 days of training because it's going to be so intense that you're going to come out of it on the far side as a complete savage and you're not going to need me, right? And now you're 2 weeks faster, 4 weeks faster than the next med spa. They're still trying to get their company email created, right? Like they're getting left in the dust. Okay, last pillar here is going to be pillar number 4, management. Everybody wants to hire people, but nobody wants to manage. It's like they hire them and they just leave them. They're like, I don't know what they're doing. in the business. I don't know if they're doing well. Management, a simple frame for management, like there is a simple frame for onboarding. I got this framework from Layla Hermosi, a workshop from Layla, if any of you guys know Layla. What does good look like? Are they doing that? That's my favorite frame. You have a receptionist. Good looks like 20% of my leads booked by the end of the month. Did they do that? If they did, good. If they didn't, performance improvement plan, right? If they still can't get it after 2 weeks, you are fired. Simplest management framework. Define what good looks like and just attach a KPI to it. Tell them to execute. That's it. Right. And that's why big businesses don't allow you to underperform for months and months and months. Right. If you go work for Deloitte, KPMG, huge market cap companies, if you have a standard for consulting at a certain rate and keeping a certain amount of clients and you're underperforming for a month, they're going to work with you. They're going to performance improvement plan. But if you hit month 2, you better believe that KPMG is looking for another consultant and they're going to load them up and they're going to let you know, hey, we've been working with you for 2 months. Unfortunately, you haven't been able to hit it. And then the last 2 months, we've been loading up the next person. It's time for you to go. It's not personal, it's business. Because we define what good looks like, and you aren't doing that. And it's more of a logic frame. You want management to be logic. You know, emotional management is the worst management. If you can make it as logical as possible, as like, these are the 4 metrics I'm holding you accountable to, at the end of the 30 days, have you hit it? The business will run like a well-oiled machine, and then you won't have to be there all the time. So you must set people up for success, and then you must help them get to success before making a hard decision like letting them go. And obviously that requires a lot of love and a lot of time and working with people, which is why I'm only looking for rock stars. I'm only allowing rock stars through the interviewing. And my onboarding is so good, it's preparing them to be a better rock star. And then when it comes to management, it's like the expectations are high. It's all in alignment. And this is it, guys. Pillars 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have this dialed in, right? And you have metrics, right? You have meetings, you have tier system for communication, systems and processes in place for even the communication, so that when you're in Mexico hanging out and they have a problem, they know who to go to, they know what resource to look for, and all of that stuff needs to be dialed in as well on the management side. It's a lot of work. I'll tell you that. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, which is why only a small percent of business owners hit $1 million per year. Because in order to hit 1 million, you kind of need this, right? Like you can probably YOLO your way to 83K per month average, which is 1 million per year. You can kind of YOLO your way there. But if you want to be there every month without burning yourself out, you're probably going to need to find rock stars and manage them. You're probably going to need a clinic manager. You're going to need all these things. And that's why a really small percentage of people hit 1 million, because hitting 1 million is not hitting 83K once or 100K once in a month. Hitting 1 million is consistently doing that for the rest of your life, which requires these 4 pillars to be dialed in, right? There's some other things, but like these pillars are pretty key if you want to run $1 million machine. And what I find, you know, what I was talking to her, which is why I started this whole talk, when she said, how do I fully remove myself? Is I said, well, how do you find nurses? She said, I don't know, I don't. And I said, well, let's start there, right? Let's start with just let's set up your prospecting channels. Then we could talk about how you interview. Then we could talk about how you onboard. I'm not going to tell you to do everything at once, right? No one does it all at once, right? You know, Google, Amazon, Netflix, none of these things were built in a month, right? These are businesses that were built over 30 years and they have this stuff, but it takes time. But, you know, like I said, what does it take? It takes time, but how much time, right? The what does it take framework is the best. I'll leave it at that. Quick side note, guys, if you are a MedSpa owner looking to scale your business to 100K per month, increase profits, or just create an asset that runs on its own that you can maybe one day sell or pass down to someone else, you should definitely click the link in our bio, join our MediLaunch program where we're helping hundreds of MedSpa owners do the exact same thing right now. I would love to see you guys on the other side.